All right, guys, circuit 2. This one is not going to be quite as crazy. There's 3 exercises, and yeah, you're going to be able to slow your pace down a little bit, but after what you just went through, you should kind of feel like crap, which is a good thing. Now, what you just worked in that first circuit tends to be the anterior portion of your body, the chest with all those push-ups, everything that kind of rounds the chest in like this. And what we're going to be going through on the next circuit, circuit 2 here, these are going to be movements that should open up the chest. Reverse flies, proper overhead presses. As you go through those respective ranges of motion, those first 2 exercises, that's actually going to open up and stretch your chest, which is just what we tightened up. So if we think about it, we tightened up our chest on the first circuit, tight, 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 tight. Now the second circuit, we're going to start opening it back up, so it should start feeling a little bit loose. We're not doing yoga, but you are stretching here. So your first exercise and second exercise, they both have wiggle room within the repetition count. So the first one is going to be a kneeling overhead press, as few as 8, no more than 12. So 8 to 12 repetitions. Like I said, based on the amount of weight that you have, make your judgment call on if you're doing lower reps or higher reps. Second exercise is going to be a bent over reverse fly. Same thing, 8 to 12 reps. Another tip for this one here is if your weight is too light, and we're talking about almost way too light, where even if you did 12 reps, it's not enough, you can turn that reverse fly into a paused reverse fly, where you pause at the top portion there, and then all of a sudden your 5 pounds, instead of feeling like 5 pounds, when you pause there, that 5 can feel a lot more like an 8-pounder, and same thing as you kind of go upwards with the weight. Third exercise is going to be a low plank reach out. We do these a lot in camp, so this is technically a core movement typically, but if you break it down and you do it correctly, yeah, your core is going to be engaged, but we're really going to be working on your shoulders. Once again, doing it properly opens up your chest. So once again, let's jump into it. So first exercise in this circuit here is a kneeling overhead press. So first things first, when you're kneeling here, you're not just on your knees with kind of sloppy posture. You're not putting your butt on your heels where I'm at right now. We have you make yourself as tall as you can in that kneeling position. So your hips come up, and then all you're doing from that top position there, you're squeezing your glutes, squeezing your butt, which is gonna roll your hips forward. That keeps your butt as far away from your heels as possible. That's where you start, and that's where you maintain throughout this entire movement. So that said, you're gonna have 1 or 2 weights. Ideally, if you guys have enough weights here, you're gonna hold on to 2. If you need to hold on to just 1, logically, it's just gonna look like this. Now, the rep scheme on this is 8 to 12 reps. So like I was saying, this is super lightweight for me. So if you have really lightweight as well, you're not gonna be stopping at that 8 repetition count. You're gonna try to go as close to 12 or all the way up to 12 as you can. So with this one, shoulder blades are retracted. You're gonna press all the way above your head, come back down, rest at the bottom here for a split second before you then come right back up. So as you're doing this, guys, you want to make sure that your earlobes are covered. So you're not pressing forward like this, nor are you arching and pressing above like that. Your shoulder blades stay retracted, your chest is forward, and as you press up, guys, you should be able to cover your ear. So as you're coming up, my earlobe, which you see now, you do not see any longer. We want to make sure that you keep your core engaged on that, and you do not get sloppy with your form. As you're pressing up like that, if your chest is super tight from all those push-ups that you just did, this should actually feel like a pretty good stretch, which is part of what we're aiming for within the design of this circuit. So that's exercise 1. Exercise 2 is going to be a bent over reverse fly. Now, like I was saying, if you have lighter weights on this one here, you're gonna probably wanna go through a pause. Now, how do we break down this form? So first things first, you're not squatting. So when we talk about squatting, guys, that's basically what you do when you sit down on the couch or if you sit down on the toilet. When you're doing a hinge, as opposed to me putting my butt down, my butt is going back, almost as if I'm bowing. So with this one, I'm going to hinge down, my back stays flat, my lower back is basically arched, so that way I know it's actually engaged, it's not going to round. Just like I did in that iron cross, my arms are not in full extension. They have a subtle bend into them. So I get myself into my hinge position, reverse fly, 1, 2, 3, no less than 8, no more than 12. If you need to pause when you're doing that reverse fly, make sure you're pausing and staying in position by locking your shoulder blades together, not just flexing your biceps. Once again, if you're doing this correctly, you should feel a stretch in your chest there. Now, Your last exercise here is a low plank reach out. So this is gonna be a total of 20 reps. This is the one where you're gonna be working your core a little bit, but at this point, your shoulders are gonna be on fire. I'll show you what it looks like. Peekaboo. All right, now, low plank reach out. First things first, low plank. So, elbows directly under your shoulders. So just like your push-ups are here, your elbows are here. Not forward, but in. You get into your typical plank position. Your butt is not piked. Your hips are not sagging. You're either perfectly parallel or at a slight slope. At this point, you're going to feel your core engage. You're going to reach forward, 1, 2, all the way to 20. From a different view, 1, 2, all the way to 20. You want to kind of have the mindset here that you're trying to balance something important to you, I don't know, Lysol or toilet paper on the small of your back. If you are unstable when you're doing that plank reach out, all that stuff that's going to be balancing on your lower back or your butt, it's going to be tipping over. So kind of pretend that you're trying to actually balance something on the small of your back or your butt. If you want to be fancy, actually go ahead and try to balance something on the small of your back or your butt there. This one here, we're going to be going through 2 rounds of 6 minutes with 1 minute rest. This one, you don't need to have a super fast pace. Just kind of think of it as you want to just keep chugging through the movements. So any rest that you take between movement to movement, try to police yourself and make sure it's like 10 seconds or less. This should start getting you a little bit out of breath towards the end, especially the low plank position. It's a little bit hard to breathe like that. But like our typical Thursdays, the objective here is to kind of get a burn and build up some muscular strength, not so much worry about cardio. So that's that. One more circuit, guys.